Hi there, Waltineers. I'm Jack, and this is DSNY Newscast. And look, it's no great secret that there's been a bit of a dry spell in terms of official Disney news as of late. And I'm not just talking about, news relating to Walt Disney World, but this, Disney news drought even expands to the Disney parks around the world as well. And it's actually something I'm hoping should come to an end this year in 2024. As quite frankly, if it doesn't, well then we're facing down, 2025 and beyond without anything new to really look forward to. And I've said this quite a few times over the past few months, but when it comes to D23 Expo in August of this year, it really is put up or shut up time when it comes to these Disney announcements. As I don't know about you, but I'm certainly getting sick and tired of this whole kind of blue sky brainstorm session thing on stage, that they've done at D23 Expo in 2022, and then again at Destination D last year, where they kind of dangle the prospect of this is what we might do. Instead of actually committing to these projects and getting everyone excited about them, we don't know what they're actually going to do. And I know chairman of the parks, Josh D'Amaro, has gone on media interviews with the likes of Entertainment Weekly and said, we're going to be taking them on this journey, of dreaming big and all this sort of stuff. But personally, I've had enough of the journey aspect of this now, and I want to know the destination. I want to know what's going to be coming to the Disney parks in the next few years. As for all of this talk of this $60 billion that they're supposedly going to be investing in the Disney parks over the next 10 years, we don't know any projects beyond 2025. And it really is about time they announce some projects, get the construction going, get the shovels in the ground, and we can all look forward to the future of the Disney parks together, as that's what we all really care about. But obviously, in the meantime, that means that what we're left with is rumours and speculation about what might be coming down the pipe. And so today what I want to do is I want to discuss a whole bunch of rumours and hopefully provide some logical insight on the matter. But the one I want to begin with is Beyond Big Thunder. But the first thing we need to talk about here is the fact that the Beyond Big Thunder proposal is all about, these mini IP-based lands consisting of this bigger, overall expansion to Magic Kingdom. A little bit like what we're seeing with Fantasy Springs over in Tokyo Disney Sea that will be opening later on this year. And, the 4 IP which Disney executives are said to be very high on at the moment are Encanto, Coco, Zootopia and Moana as the 4 IP that they see the greatest return on investment as potentially bringing them to Walt Disney World because they're very popular franchises and they want to bring and integrate them into Walt Disney World in some shape or form. And then the other thing is the Villain's Kingdom concept, and that has always been the most blue sky out of all of the blue sky ideas thrown around for Beyond Big Thunder. But apparently Disney's done some research on the matter, and they found out from parents that there might be a little bit of hesitation about the Villain's Kingdom concept at Magic Kingdom, as it might be supposedly too scary for a younger audience, which I think is a little bit silly, but, nevertheless, that's what they've been told. And so therefore what they're taking is this kind of wait-and-see approach to the whole Villain's Kingdom thing. That's not to say it won't happen, but they're pushing it a little bit further back. Now, what I think will change all of this is when Epic Universe opens next year in 2025, they've got the Classic Monsters Land. And if that's hugely successful, which I really do think it will be, because nothing like that has ever been done before, theming an entire land to this darker storytelling theme, then that will probably change the Disney executives' minds, and they'll probably bring the Villain's Kingdom concept up into the main part of Beyond Big Thunder. But at the moment, they want to keep things fluid because of that reason. And then so that brings us to the other part of the Beyond Big Thunder plan, which, if you're wondering about the kind of scale of this thing, it's going to be, Galaxy's Edge kind of scale. So like 14 acres, maybe more. And if you basically just halve the Rivers of America and just take Fort Longhorn on up, that's going to be the expansion space. And apparently, according to some chatter that has been going on recently, Imagineering are very excited about a potential IP, and Disney executives are equally quite excited about this IP, and it's maybe close to being greenlit. And although I wish I could talk more about this topic, that's all we really have at this time. But if I were to speculate about the IP, if you think about it logically, I think the most logical IP that they might have stumbled across might be Moana. And the reason for that is that Moana, after all, is a princess, and this is the Princess Park, and it's an extremely popular franchise that's getting the live-action movie treatment and getting the Disney Plus series as well. And if they've already taken it out of the Animal Kingdom proposals, but it's an IP which would easily work with maybe the Pacific Isles within Magic Kingdom, then I think that Moana might be one of the IPs they might bring to Magic Kingdom. But then on the flip side of things, there's also been talk, supposedly, of all things Zootopia within Magic Kingdom, which I find very hard to believe that anyone would even suggest that, but apparently it was considered at one point. I'm guessing, they have to consider all options, but Zootopia, in my opinion, doesn't work at Magic Kingdom whatsoever, and it didn't work really within Animal Kingdom, and it certainly doesn't work in Epcot. And the only park which would make sense for having a Zootopia themed land would be Disney's Hollywood Studios, as you could take the whole animation courtyard section and turn that into a Zootopia land, as after all, that park is all about the immersive cinematic worlds come to life. But I don't think we'll be seeing Zootopia come to Walt Disney World in a land coming to Walt Disney World anytime soon, because they've just opened one over in Shanghai, and they typically have an exclusivity agreement where they get the new offering for a set period of time. And in terms of like Tron, it was 5 years exclusivity, and that's the reason why it opened in 2016 in Shanghai, and then it was meant to open in Walt Disney World in 2021, but obviously it was delayed to 2023. So Zootopia would be at least 5 years away from now, from 2023, when it opened in Shanghai, before it could even come to Walt Disney World, if that was the same kind of exclusivity agreement. But I want to wrap up this Beyond Big Thunder talk, because Beyond Big Thunder, although it is definitely part of the Disney executives' bigger plans for their crown jewel park of all Disney parks, and that's Magic Kingdom, it's Animal Kingdom which is supposedly going to get the most amount of attention next. And specifically, what the rumors are saying is that the Indiana Jones retheme of Dinosaur is the thing that's pretty dead set on happening. And that's because it's not just going to be a clone of the Indiana Jones ride in Disneyland. It's going to have its own original story and original show set elements and things like that to match the layout of the dinosaur attraction. And apparently Iger is a big proponent of the Indiana Jones IP within the parks. After all, it is a legacy IP. It's been around for 40 years. It's stood the test of time. And despite the recent box office failing, it gives a great opportunity to kind of balance out Animal Kingdom with having Pandora on one side, Indiana Jones on the other side, and then also, another IP or so within that same Dino Land area to kind of round out Animal Kingdom. But then I want to come back to Magic Kingdom, as Country Bear Jamboree is officially closing on January the 27th, and it's officially been announced to be opening again in summer. And the thing about Country Bear Jamboree is it shares the same exact building as Pecos Bills. And this was actually something which back in June of 2020, when the Tiana attraction was announced, I said at the time that it's very likely that Pecos Bills is going to be turned into a Tiana's Palace kind of thing. And lo and behold, now we've seen the Tiana's Palace open over in Disneyland, it's almost certain that the Pecos Bills is going to end up getting turned into Tiana's Palace in Walt Disney World as well. And although I mentioned it in June of 2020, talk of this really began with Blog Mickey spotting Imagineers early last year, touring Pecos Bills. So clearly they're looking to do something with the Pecos Bills restaurant, as the IP itself they want to remove. And then moving on over to the other side of Magic Kingdom Park, we come to a rumour just will not die, basically. It's the Stitch's Great Escape replacement rumour. And there's been ideas floated around for this dead space within the centre of Tomorrowland for quite a while. And the proposal from a few years ago was supposedly going to be Wreck-It Ralph. And it was going to be themed to this whole kind of Vanellope Von Schweetz, racing in Sugar Rush kind of aspect to it. And it started off as this kind of VR attraction, then it kind of turned into this 3D idea, and then it became a 2D idea, and then it just got scrapped altogether. And I think the reason why it was scrapped is capacity concerns. As Stitch's Great Escape, the theatre can have a theoretical throughput of around 1,600 guests per hour, so it's kind of a people eater. But recently there's been some rumours that there's been a new concept suggested, and it's looked upon a lot more favourably within both the executives' eyes and also Imagineering in what they could do with this space. And if we look at the kinds of IP which they've used in Tomorrowland, The Incredibles makes the most sense here. The Incredibles has made over $1 billion with The Incredibles 2. It's a very popular franchise, and if they ever want to do an Incredibles 3, then they would have an attraction in Magic Kingdom if they did theme it to The Incredibles, and it would just work within Tomorrowland. You could do some sort of show based around Baby Jack maybe, and a demonstration of the superpowers within the theatre kind of environment and make it kind of funny show for the whole family. But then that way it would convert this space, which is just a dead space at the moment. It had some permits filed in March of 2020 for it to be gutted, and it got partially gutted, but it's just remained a dead space right in the centre of Tomorrowland. But taking Stitch's Great Escape and putting an attraction back in that area would add vital capacity back to Magic Kingdom, which is what they need at the moment, considering it is the most popular park. And then sticking with this theme of dead spaces, which used to have something and then just is not used for anything at the moment, we've got to come to the Play Pavilion, and that's the Wonders of Life building over at Epcot, right to the side of, Mission Space and Guardians of the Galaxy. And this has kind of been gated off. You can't even walk up to it or see it, really. They want you to kind of ignore it. But a lot of money and investment was put into this project. It was announced back in February 2019, and it's now like 5 years later. And they've never officially said it's gone or dead. They've just said it's like indefinitely delayed. But they actually got to the point where they were installing some prefabricated show set elements, and some eagle-eyed person managed to, take a photo of the interior dome having some lighting testing put on it that matches the concept art that we could see. And so clearly Wonders of Life building is one area which, if they didn't have any plans for, they would have either demoed by now or they would not be repairing it. And they are consistently repairing the roof and making sure it's in good state, and they wouldn't be putting that kind of expenditure into the building if they didn't have plans for it. Now, there are two IP which call Epcot home, which don't currently have a home at Epcot at the moment, and that is Inside Out and Big Hero 6. And these two would work perfectly within the Wonders of Life building. And we've even seen recently Disney embrace some Epcot legacy, talking about Test Track going back to World of Motion. So if they were to take Wonders of Life and make it back into the idea of the Health Pavilion, you could kind of have something paying homage to Cranium Command with Inside Out characters. And after all, Pete Docter, the director of Inside Out, worked on the animation for Cranium Command, so I'm sure there'd be the green light from him. And then you also could have some sort of health aspect and world discovery with Big Hero 6 and Baymax talking about health sciences and the latest discoveries in health and technology. Now, I'm not saying do Body Wars, as after all, Body Wars, the simulator vehicles, were picked apart and dismantled and used for spare parts for the Star Wars attraction, but you could do something that pays tribute to both Cranium Command and Body Wars within that building, which is a little bit like what they're going to be doing with Test Track and World of Motion. So the Play Pavilion idea with the Emoji Blitz kind of theme to it, the whole thing, and all that sort of stuff, I think it got tabled and taken away because with the pandemic, they saw having an indoor play area for children, which is full of these kind of tactile touch interactive exhibits, not probably being the best idea post-COVID. So that's the reason why Play got postponed, but they could be doing something different within that space. Then we've got to move on over to another part of Epcot, and it's the elephant in the room, or the little purple dragon in the room, and that is Figment and Journey into Imagination. And this is a rumour that I've basically been covering since the beginning of this channel. There's been rumoured updates for Journey into Imagination every single year. And back in 2017, there was the rumoured update of incorporating Inside Out within Journey into Imagination. And that didn't get very far because later on that year, Pete Docter took over from Pixar. And when it came to him giving his approval or not, considering it Inside Out is his movie, he kind of said people love Figment and why would we be changing it? So that's the reason why that didn't really get the green light and didn't go ahead. But then, there was this other concept a few years ago as well that was quite highly thought of and got quite far along, and that was to put Muppets in Journey into Imagination, and specifically the Muppets Labs working within the laboratory aspect of Journey into Imagination. And that's Dr. Bunsen Honeydew and Beaker incorporated within the attraction, along with bringing over the Muppet Vision 3D attraction and putting it into the Magic Eye Theatre. But the reason why that whole idea kind of basically got vetoed was the theatre of the Magic Eye Theatre just wasn't going to be able to handle the same sort of capacity as the Muppet Vision 3D theatre can, and it wouldn't be on the same scale. So it was an idea, and it would still be an idea if they want to expand Galaxy's Edge in that direction towards Muppet's Courtyard. But personally, I love Muppet Vision 3D, and I really don't want anything to happen to that building because it's fantastically themed and it's a great little area. So from the perspective of Figment, clearly he's a character which has stood the test of time over 40 years, and it seems that Disney are lining up all the little teasers along the way to do something with Journey into Imagination. They know, as well as us, that it would be an easy win at D23 Expo in August if they were to announce that Journey into Imagination was getting a revamp, Figment is staying, and Dreamfinder's coming back. And I think there's a lot of smoke where there's fire here. As, you know, we've seen the Figment popcorn bucket phenomenon a few years ago. The Imagination Pyramids have even become a popcorn bucket this year. We've seen the response to the Figment meet and greet. They are building up towards something. There's that Seth Rogen movie about Figment on the horizon as well, in development. So clearly they're moving in that direction of keeping Figment around. And the latest thing, which I think is also adding to the evidence to Figment and Dreamfinder maybe making a return, is that within these little golden books which are commissioned by Disney, the Pirates of the Caribbean one has red in the Pirates of the Caribbean one, so it's updated for that attraction. And the Figment one that came out recently doesn't just prominently feature Figment, but also has Dreamfinder prominently featured within the little golden book. So clearly they're re-embracing this idea of putting Dreamfinder and Figment together again. And I think that we might end up seeing some Epcot legacy come back within the park, especially World of Motion in Test Track, and then putting some Figment and Dreamfinder back into Journey into Imagination together would be an easy crowd-winning moment at D23 Expo. So, with all that being said, I now would love to know what you, the Waltineers, I want to know what your thoughts and opinions are on all of these rumours. What would you like to see Disney announce for the parks? Because I think it's getting to a point where we're all sick of the blue sky and we actually want to get something concrete announced. And so what out of all of the list or other stuff that you would like to see come to the parks in the next few years? And also, if you've enjoyed this video for today, then be sure to subscribe down below and check out the rest of the videos on the channel. And also, I'd like to give a massive shout out to the official Waltineer Club over on Patreon, who help support this channel as always. And a special thank you to the official Waltineer Gold members that you can see on the screen, and Waltineer Diamond member Kyle Mahan as well. And with all that being said for today, I've been Jack, you've been you, and I'll see you real soon.